welcome to Photography Schoolhouse and PSH DittoCam on Creative Seniors. We are from a brand new PSH DittoCam high definition studio, and obviously we still have one or two kinks to work out. So my apologies for that one last time. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that we're here, our models are here with us. I have two guests that I want to introduce. Kim Harrett is a professional makeup artist who's going to be with us tonight talking about makeup for seniors. And our guest presenter, Rob Provenche. Rob, you may know from, he's done a couple of previous PSH DittoCams with us, but he's probably better known. He's co-founder of NoBSPhotoSuccess.com, founder of ProfitableStudio.com, and author of the book Exposed, The Naked Truth About Something.
Naked Uncensored Truth.
The Naked Uncensored Truth.
About running a professional photography studio.
About running a professional photography studio. That's a very long title. It's hard for me to memorize. Rob is a phenomenal photographer. I'm very honored that he's joining us here tonight. In fact, this is some of his work that's up on the wall behind us. And what he's agreed to do, he's brought the models back. He's going to show you how he created some of these shots. So I also want to thank Denny Manufacturing. Denny has provided us with some drops that we're going to use, some very good senior drops, and some products I've never seen before, some floors for the studio. I want to show you those a little bit later. And Denny has kindly paid for everybody to come and attend this session tonight. So thank you to Denny Manufacturing. On camera one, you may have seen James Hodgins. A lot of you know James. He's the other co-founder of NoBS Photo Success, and both of them are good friends of mine, and I'm honored that they're joining us here. James will be doing some presentations coming up in the next few weeks with us as well. Maybe we'll have our audio figured out by then. Now let's talk about creative senior photography, and of course we all like to shoot outdoors. It's great, but if you live in areas like I do, I spend half my time in Phoenix, Arizona, the other half in Canada, and there are times of the year where going outdoors and shooting is just not an option. So how can we do compelling, contemporary senior photography in the studio? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So with that being said, one of the things when you talk about seniors, you might want to talk about makeup. We have acne issues to deal with sometimes. And that's why I asked Kim to come and join us. And our model, Alex, if you step in, Alex, to talk a little bit about the kind of makeup. Let's make sure your microphone is on.
Can you hear me?
I think we can.
Okay, perfect.
To talk about the kind of things that we might run into with senior photography. What kind of approach? If Alex walked into a studio that a photographer had hired you as the makeup artist, what thoughts would you have with a model like Alex?
Okay.
You can smile.
She can. She's gorgeous. All right, so some of the things especially that a lot of seniors are worried about are imperfections, blemishes, and any sort of, problems that they have with their self-image. So myself as a makeup artist, what I want to do is not only give them the best look possible, but to help them feel comfortable with who they are. So some of the dilemmas that a senior may have, like I said, are blemishes. So what I would do is start off by, going over what the skin condition is like, spotting any imperfections that one of the seniors may have, evening out the skin tone, and highlighting or contouring any of the areas of the face that will make that will enhance the appearance of the senior. Okay, so like I said, what we would do is start off by evening out the skin tone, going over any imperfections that the senior may have, and then start off by contouring certain areas. So if we want to contour the chin, sort of make it more defined, what we would do is apply some darker shading along the jawline. If you'd like to turn this way, Alex. What we would do is follow along the jawline, and then what we would do is highlight under the chin and do the same on the other side. And what, like I said, that's going to do is that's going to define the chin area. It's also going to make the subject or the senior look thinner. This area here, if you'd like to make that great fish face, okay, and turn this way for me and make that fish face. Okay? What that's going to do is that's going to highlight underneath the cheekbone, and that's where we would apply some contouring. We would do it on both sides of the face. And then the other area that we might do is along the nose. So what we would do is apply some of this contouring on the inside of the nose, and what that's going to do is elongate the nose. Okay? So we've covered some of the, like I said, the makeup dilemmas that you may come across while doing makeup on a senior for a senior photo shoot.
Now, some of the things that I've run into in my studio, and I'm sure many photographers have, is even if somebody is in the studio without a makeup artist, they come in, they have little problems we all have from time to time. I'm a bald guy, and sometimes you get a little shine happening, although that can happen on the face, the forehead, the nose. Are there products that a photographer can just keep around? Just
Most definitely.
To do little touch-ups?
Most definitely. The one thing that you're going to want to keep on hand is powder, translucent powder, because what that's going to do is it's going to mattify the skin. And in photography, we don't want any shine unless we want to create it ourselves. So you can either get translucent powder in either a pressed form or a powder form, a loose form. Another thing that you can do is use a blotting paper. And these are sort of like a little onion skin. And what they're going to do is they're going to absorb any excess sebum, oil on the face, or any sweat. And the great thing about these is if you use them and you dab them in these certain areas, rather than wipe with them, what they're going to do is, like I said, they're going to absorb any of that sweat or sebum, but it's not going to disrupt any of the makeup. Okay? Another thing to keep on hand is a good set of makeup brushes. They're handy to have because if you don't have a makeup artist there and you have certain dilemmas that you're going to come across with makeup, you have the proper tools to handle any of these dilemmas that you're going to have. Okay? So as far as makeup for seniors, and basically what you want to do is handle any of the dilemmas or the issues that the senior may have. And in the end, what you're going to do is have a really good final product for the photo shoot, and your senior is going to be really, really happy with the photos that are going to come out from the photo shoot. All right. So if there's any other problems that you have, or you have questions, definitely let Carrie know, and I can answer any of those questions for you too.
Thanks, Alex,
All right.
for that demonstration.
Thank you very much.
So I want to move on to Rob. He's going to do a segment. He's just getting his microphone on and getting his model prepared. I don't know what camera I'm on. So while we're getting that set up, I wanted to talk to you about some of the products that Denny Manufacturing has brought us tonight, some of which I'd never seen before. So if we can switch to the roaming camera, I want to show you not only this backdrop here, but I want to show you this floor. This is a foam floor. Kyle? This is not a tile or anything. It's a foam that rolls up, stores beautifully. Comes on a roller, actually. We have the rollers put away right now. And extends your backdrop beautifully into a whole set. I'm new to this kind of a floor for photography. And it works out well in this studio. This studio has all concrete flooring. So obviously it's a little warmer to the touch for your model and whoever's you're going to be shooting. So Denny, by the way, we have a number of products we're going to show from Denny tonight. They have a special on. They've offered a discount of 25% for all of the Photography Schoolhouse members. Okay, I'm on the right camera. They've offered a 25% discount for all of the Photography Schoolhouse members. We're going to show this tonight. If you go to www.dennymanufacturing.com, use promo code PS110126. Any of their computer-painted backdrops, their roll-up floors like we just showed you, all 25% off until midnight tonight. So with that, Rob and his first model should be all ready.
Yeah.
And I think his first model is Chris.
Chris Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hope you can hear me. Sorry about that audio glitch. It's bound to happen. We're going to blame it on the gremlins. Do we have audio working okay? Is everything fine? It's all good? Lose the gum, I'm told. Not good. All right, we're going to get Chris in here. Come on in, Chris. Chris is a high school football quarterback. And as soon as we're done, we're going to go outside and we're going to wrestle for dollars. He's a big guy. Anyways, I'm going to show you the picture that I photographed last year. Actually, he's not in high school now, but he was in high school last year, and he was my high school ambassador or high school model. And if you look closely at this shot right here, and this is the pose that I'm going to mimic. This is an all-time favorite. It shows the theme, obviously, football, and it shows the intensity. So with this kind of photograph, that's specifically what I was after. I was really trying to make him look like he's a serious, athletic, intense player. I mean, he plays a big role in the school as a star quarterback and all that stuff. So I really wanted to use this picture, this kind of look. And I'm going to mimic exactly what I had done in order to get this kind of a look. Later on, towards the end, we're going to do a little segment on Photoshop, which is also equally important. And I'm going to run through some of the strategies that I used in order to really bring this image to life. So we'll get to that later. I should mention, too, I was fortunate enough to do a presentation to the entire senior class. There was about, 90, 100 of them? Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to do, I had 45 minutes to present and talk about my senior photography to the entire senior group at the high school. And I presented Chris with a plaque-mounted picture with this, with, what was it that I put on there? Determination. It looked like one of those success posters. And then I also put a quote on the bottom, and it was a quote that Chris had made up, and it was an inspirational, motivational type quote, and I put that on there and I presented it to everybody. I also made a duplicate, and it is now in the hallways at the school, so all the kids get to see it. So I kind of got extra promotion using this picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Chris. Come on over here, buddy. Just come and I'm going to bring this stool over here. I'm going to talk. Maybe you can sit yourself right there. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lighting. I'm going to put this down because I don't need that. I'm going to get rid of this marker. Just give me 1 second. Get that stupid gum. And I'm going to grab my camera. All right, this is really straightforward. We have 4 lights. We have 2 kicker lights. They play a very, very, very big role in this lighting, almost to the point where they almost become the main light. So you have to really work with the kicker lights to really pull out the texture, the intensity in this kind of a photograph. But we also have a light down below here, and it is shooting upwards. Essentially, if you were to get really technical on us, this would be considered the main light. Okay, so back here, we have a backlight, and it's going to be shooting onto the Denny backdrop. Now, I want to point out that this backdrop here has got a very strong texture to it. If you have a look, see, it's very, is there a name for it, or do we know? Well, the actual material is called Freedom Cloth. It's amazing stuff. It's nice and thick. Again, it's light. You don't have to iron it. It doesn't wrinkle. You just hang it up, squishes up into a nice little ball. It's really cool stuff. But that actual pattern, it's almost like rusted metal, molten lava, something like that. It's got a real kind of a funky look, so it's very appropriate for this particular background. So what we're going to do is we are going to throw, Kyle, I'm going to get you to throw the blue gel onto the backlight, please. So we've got the red gel on there. We're going to get Kyle to throw in the blue gel. And what we're going to do is we're going to illuminate the background with a little bit of blue, and we're going to let some of the natural color come through on the background so that we have a blend, partially caused by the backlight that we're setting up right now, and then the natural color, which is going to go kind of dark, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, let me just explain real quickly my exposures. I need a light meter, and I happen to have one right here. Ta-da! Light meter. I use a Minolta. We're going to keep it about half power. We'll test it. He's asking me if he wants the background backlight turned up. And I'm not sure. We're going to test and see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this. Yeah, we have power. All right, so I'm going to use my light meter. Now I'm shooting at 100 ISO. I have a Canon camera. I'm regularly a Nikon shooter, but they forced me to use this one, which is okay. It's a 5D, and it's set at ISO 100, and we're shooting for f8. So I'm going to measure this kicker light right here. I'm just going to aim it right towards Chris. Now, Chris is going to be I want good posture, so I want you to put your legs down flat and square, straighten your back, and lean in a bit. Good. Nice, good, strong posture. This is really, really important. Okay, so let me just check this light out. All right. I'm just going to bring them in a tiny bit more. We're almost at f8. Okay, so we're working for f8. There we go. Let me check this light out here. So this light here is effectively my main light. It's shooting up. I've often heard this style of lighting as referred to as spook lighting. It's kind of that Halloween horror story lighting because of the fact that it's coming from the bottom. You know, think of a flashlight underneath your chin. Anyways, it's that idea. It's coming up from the bottom. It creates a very, very intense look. So we're combining this light, those two lights, all working together for the ultimate desired effect. This is almost there. I'm just going to crank it up a little bit. Just going to reach down here, a little more power. See what we got here. So I'm using Pocket Wizard. It's looking good now. Yes, we're right at 8.0.0. So in case you're wondering, because I know a lot of you know what we're doing here, but some of you guys are going to ask, I'm using a Pocket Wizard. Okay? It's a wireless transmitter. If I push that little black button, the receiver is on that light right there. It's firing off, and those are all on optical slaves, so that all the lights are going at the same time. So when I'm going to take a picture now, I'm going to do a test. As soon as I take a picture, you'll see on your screen, you're going to see the exact look that we're going for right away. And we'll be able to test it and see if this is going to work out for us. So what I want you to do, Chris, is lean in just a bit. That's good, just like that. Now, this is awesome. I'm using a composition where Chris is going to be to the right of the frame, and I'm coming in very close, and I'm specifically looking to get his nose just above the guard here. So I want a little tiny space, and if you can, Chris, just a hair, lift your chin. That's it, good. So I'm getting in nice and close. By the way, this shot here would work really well if you had like a 70 to 200 lens. I'm going to pop this right now and try it out and see what we got. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. You can see the. Which camp? Somebody needs to point to me. I need pointing actions. Okay, good. So I need to know that. So as long as I know. There, that looks pretty good. Now, if you look at that image, I'm actually going to crank in a little more light in the background. So maybe Kyle, you can crank up that background. Just going to bring the power up a little bit more. Cool. All right, so you got an idea there. So we crank the power up a little bit more. We're going to try that again. All right. Before I do this, stay put for a sec. Can you go grab that water bottle? And go grab Christina. Just tell Christina to come here. All right, there. We're going to get our exposure down, and we're going to do one more thing for you here, Chris. All right, good. Nice. Somebody pointing to me, or? Yeah, I need. Okay. Cool. You can see the background light is really starting to come through here. You can keep your pants on. Oh, yeah, never mind. All right. Kyle, we're going to get that background light a little bit more. We're almost there. All right. There we go. This is Christina. She's our gymnast for the next pose. So, Kyle, you can beat it. Go spray him in the face. Wait, careful. Not the eye. Okay, missed it. Go back a little bit more. We're going to spray him. Now, we're mimicking sweat. Good. Get him again. Oh, yeah, here, let me fix this.
It's not working.
No, it's working just fine. You're doing it. Good job. When Chris came in for these shots last year, his girlfriend was here too. And we had her do this, and they have a lot of fun. Just like, hey, spray them up. Get them right in the face. You get them closer now. Mist them up. A little harder. Good, good, good. Thank you. That's good. Okay, don't go overboard now. Thanks, Christina. All right, look at me here. All right, so the idea here, of course, is we want sweat beating off his nose. We want sweat just coming down his face. He just finished the game. We're after that intensity and the lighting and the pose and everything. You doing okay, Chris? You look like you just got humiliated. No, it's all good. Okay, we want to, the look of a champion. You just won the game of your life, and it's all awesome. Tilt your head just a bit that way. Good. There we go. We got all the sweat showing through, and this is awesome. This is what we want. Good. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you notice on the bridge of Chris's nose, there's a dark shadow there. This is very, very important. That shadow really is bringing out a lot of the form overall in the face, more obvious in the nose, less obvious in the rest of the face, but it's there. This is what's working on our behalf. This is what's making this kind of a shot really come together to create a lot of intensity. And if you look in Chris's eyes, you'll notice that there's the catch lights, and those are the catch lights that are coming in from the light that we've placed on the very bottom in front of Chris. And our exposure working together with those kicker lights are really, really doing a good job. So, cool. So, I don't know, are you able to zoom in on this shot right here? See this shot right here? That's the exact same lighting. You can notice it. Again, you can look at the bridge of the nose. There's a lot of darkness there. But the only thing I changed here, you know what, Chris? I'm going to get you to stand up. We're just going to do this really quick. Stay there. I'm going to move the stool out. All right. I want you to come to the middle. And just stay there. Kyle, I want you to crank that light up a little more. And actually angle it up about 5 or 6 more degrees. Just angle the whole thing up. Yeah. Give it a little more juice. Good. So pretend like you're holding a bowl. Okay? Good. We're just going to mimic. I just want to show you this specific lighting so that you can see exactly the same lighting, recreated exactly that pose right there, and it all came together, except I moved this main light over to the right, as you can tell by the detail in the football. See the highlights on the left side, and then it's darker on the very top of the football. This really creates a lot of texture, a lot of form, a lot of dimension. So, Chris, I'm going to get you to do that again. Okay, and you'll notice, too, exactly where I placed his eyes and exactly where I placed his mouth in line with the actual guard that's in front of his helmet. And if you can ever so slightly, Chris, lift your chin. Good, 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 good. Now, and I want that intensity in your eyes. Look real serious with your eyes. Really focused. This is nice. All right, let me just do one more. Kyle, oh, look at that back. Yeah, we're going to get that backlight up higher. So you can see we've got a gradation going on in the background. And Chris is actually holding an invisible ball, but it doesn't matter. I want you to get the idea here. You can see the shot, you can see the lighting, you can see the overall effect here. So, yeah, I'm going to just try one more, and then we're going to get on to our next segment here. Carrie's going to come on and show you the other backdrop from Denny. But I just want to show you one more. So we're going to get that backlight up a little higher. We're going to get Chris back into football position. And I want you to ever so slightly, Chris, lift your chin. Good. Good. Look real intense with your eyes. Okay, these are not happy shots. These are intense sports-themed shots. Chin up a little bit, Chris. Good, 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 good. Nice. All right, so you can see the background's really coming through now, and that's the lighting that I like to use for that shot, and that's the way I like to light it and make it happen. Now, this shot here is a big hit with the kids and with the parents and with everybody. I have this shot on display at restaurants in our city, displays throughout on the website, obviously, and at the school, and it's just the kind of image that has that impact, and it's the lighting combined with the right subject matter, combined with the right backdrop, and in this case, we've got these awesome Denny backdrops, Freedom Cloth. absolutely amazing. So I think we're done. And are you going to take over now, Kerry? Cool.
I was just pointing out about just how marvelous it was to unpack this drop from a box and just have it hang without having anything to do with it. It was just there, ready to go. I've spent hours steaming backdrops, squirting backdrops, trying to get the wrinkles out of them. So I'm a big fan of these kinds of drops. If you look at the pattern, too, it's quite remarkable. If you go on to Denny's website, www.dennymfg.com, and type in grunge in their search engine, their website search engine, just type the word grunge, you'll see a whole, I never counted them, but a lot of really great drops that look just like this, different scenes and whatnot. So what I want to show you is one of my favorite lighting setups. When is it going to call my first model up? It's Jennifer, right? Yeah. Jennifer, welcome. Thank you. Now what I'm going to do is a two-strip light, one of my favorite dramatic lighting things. So I have a large strip light over here. And I like strip lights for this because I really want to control the pattern of light that's coming out. And I've got it pointing straight across at a slightly smaller version of a strip light. And what I'm going to do, these two strip lights are looking at each other, and they're just barely skimming across the front of Jennifer's face. They're going to be the same power. We're going to check the power in just a second. We're also going to light the drop a little bit. Way up here in the corner, I have a strobe with a snoot on it to give me a dramatic streak of light coming across the backdrop like this. It was actually so powerful I needed to put a neutral density filter on it just to cut the power back a little bit. And then to fill in some of the lower areas, I have a background light with a 20-degree honeycomb grid, also with a neutral density filter, just so I get a nice subtle fill into the backdrop itself. These strip lights are not going to spill light onto the backdrop. So pause for a second while I find the light meter. So what I want to do is to ensure that these two lights are the same power. So right now I'm about 8.5 on this one. And about 5.6. I'm going to put this one up a little bit. Just look straight forward. So I've got these almost exactly at the same power. And what I'm going to watch for is a shadow that's going to come down the center of her face. If I get her too far forward, her face will be totally in shadow. If I get her too far back, I'm going to lose the effect of the lighting. So you sometimes have to position your model just so. So let's take a test shot. And we'll just make sure we have her in the right position. Now you can see this particular shot, a little bit too much shadow, so I'm going to have you take just a tiny step back. Let's try it right there. Now we're getting the look that I like. The other thing with this lighting that you may want to do is not have the model look straight onto the camera. Have her turn off angle a little bit so she can kind of look as if she's glancing offset. So just take a look over there. Bring your eyes back to me. Hold it, hold it, hold it. That's good. And that way we make sure we get really nice light on her face. Bring your hands up and just cross them over. Very nice. Yeah, we get a little attitude. I don't know. This is a grunge set. This is more like an attitude set. Yeah. Attitude. You got some attitude? Okay. And again, look offset a little bit. And let your eyes, bring your eyes back to this cameraman right there. He's a pretty good-looking guy. Now, eyes back to me. Bring your hands down onto your hips and a little shift your body weight around. That's it. Not a big smile, though. This is still kind of a... There we go. Want your shoulders turn a little bit more the other way. Your whole body. Yeah, like that. Now, give me a cross hand, but this time let's go with the smiles. You want to smile. You're anxious to smile. You're ready to smile, I can tell. That's good. And you've got a beautiful smile, so I want to get in a little bit closer. Tilt your head over just a touch. Very nice. And then I'm just going to alter my camera angle to get some of this backdrop. Okay. You're holding your arms too much out. Just more of a relaxed. There we go. I'm going to get a little bit closer. A little bit of a smile. Very nice. Now, it's very easy to change this pose or this lighting and have these strip lights go back into the corners and come back as accent lights. The only thing I'd want to do then is to bring in a softbox or an octodome and light the front of her. But you get some strong rim lighting effect, kicker lights like that. It's an awesome look, and that's what we're going to do in the second segment. So 2 strip lights, equal power, positioning the model carefully, just adjusting your background lights to make sure you're not blowing out the background. Let it go darker if you like, and we're all good. So that's me. Rob is already set up with his second model. And I'll pass the camera to Rob.
All right, thanks, Gary. There she is again. We have Christina, and we're going to do 2 poses. We're going to, which one's 2, though? You're 2? You're 2. All right. Hi, 2. So we're going to set up the other light while Kyle's doing that. We'll talk a little bit about the idea behind all this. And we'll do 2 poses. If you look over here, you'll see basically the 2 ideas. Very similar lighting. Now, this is Megan. This is not the same girl. We're using a substitute because Megan was not available. And when I photographed, this actually was shot last year. Megan was my high school ambassador, my high school model. When I photographed that last year, she's a national competitor in gymnastics. So I wanted to show intensity, and I really wanted to show that competitive spirit in her. She's a real sweet kid, but I wanted her to look serious and a bit of a badass. That was the wording I used. And she liked that. She said, yeah. And this is one of the expressions that I got from that. I call this sort of my Twilight lighting from the movie Twilight, sort of inspired from that. It's very dark and brooding, but very serious and very, very intense. It's perfect for this kind of shot. So anyways, when I was setting up to do this shot, I asked her, I said, when you guys are competing, what's that white stuff you use? Chalk or something like that? We think it's called chalk. Because they're grabbing the bars and they don't want to slip and they want to get good gription going on their hands. So I asked her if she had some, and she said no, she didn't. So I ran in the house and I grabbed some flour. So I brought some flour with me tonight. And flour tonight will be our substitute for chalk. Cool? All right, so Christina is going to be doing this pose for us. And I'll explain the lighting. Again, it's very, very similar to what we had done with Chris, the quarterback. I'm going to get Kyle to swap out that backlight, please, Kyle, because we're going to go with the red. Thanks. It's nice to have assistants who just get on it right away. So we had the blue gel on there in the backlight, so we're going to swap it out. We're going to get a nice red going. A little bit more of a difference, a little more of a feminine touch. So now, Kyle, I want you to aim that light down. We're going to start low again to show our viewers. Oh, great. Yeah, it's good there. We'll try there. We'll do a test, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I want you to, Christina, turn that way. Good. I want you to put all your weight on your, that's it. So all her weight is on her right leg, and her left leg, the one facing the camera, is got no weight on it. It's nice and soft. So, we're on that one? Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a shot before we bring in the flour. And then we're going to see that it's working and everything's looking good, because I don't want to get too much flour all over the place and a bit of a mess going. Okay, but before we do that, let me get my trusted light meter out here. And I'm going to measure that light there. Boom. Whoa, it's terribly, terribly weak. Can you crank it up a bit? It's like at 2.8.5. No, not that one. I'm sorry. I apologize. That light. I thought you were psychic. I thought you could read my mind. Some assistants can read minds. Oh, that's why there's no plug. You're fired. I'm joking. You're not fired. Stick around. We need you. We forgot to plug it in. It's all good. I mean, hey. Yeah, you only take one picture. Let me just try that. Okay, cool. Thanks, Kyle. You're good. You're good. All right, that's way too strong. That's F11. Bring it down some more. Some more. Yeah, we're almost there. Is it down at the lowest setting? No. Yeah, bring her down to the bottom. Take it on home. That's nice. That's just about at F8. Thanks. That's good. This one's F8. Boom. No problemo. This one's F8. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first. I'm going to actually, before I explain it, I'm just actually going to show you. So the first shot, I'm going to have this light going up. It's the same output as those two shots. Okay? Turn sideways, Christina, and get your hands up like as if you did the powder. Good. That's nice. Let me do a quick test, and then we're going to show you on the screen what we got. Good. I want you to look intense with your eyes, even though I can't really see you looking at the camera. Good. Hold that for a second. Okay. Now we're going to show you what we got on the screen. And Kyle, I need you to bring that back light down. So if you look at that, look very carefully. Yeah, just aim it down. I need you to look at that image that I just shot. And you'll see there's very little shadowing across the shoulder, very little shadowing across the front of the image. It's a little bit on the flat side. Okay, I did that on purpose. I don't like that light. Okay, so what I'm going to do, tilt the whole thing down even a bit more. It's a little bit it's a little bit hot. All right, I'm going to kill this light. Okay, no main light. We just got two kicker lights, which essentially create a double main. Okay, let me try it again. Christina, can you go into position again? Thank you. All right, hold that. Looking intense. Are you feeling it? Good. All right, now look at the shadows. Look at the intensity. Look at the way the light is falling off. And look at that background now, the way it's really coming through. There's a gradation going on from the bottom to the top. You can really see the texture coming through on the backdrop. Now the idea here is I want to show, again, the competitiveness. I want to show the intensity. And we're going with a theme. It's a story. So the idea is she's getting ready for a competition. She's focusing. She's thinking. She's contemplating. And she's dusting up her hands with a little bit of chalk. Sorry about that. Or flour. Everybody knows it's flour. So I'm going to pour some in one of your hands. And it's a good thing we have a broom because we can just sweep it up later. It makes a bit of a mess. All right. So what she's going to do, she's going to slam her hands together and go like this in a nice slow motion. Okay, not like this. Just, I want the poof. That's what I want to achieve. The lighting is really going to bring the flour and the dusting out. So what I'm going to do is pre-focus on her head. Okay, I need you to look down, Christina. Good. And hold on. All right, go. All right, so there we have it. And you can see it on the screen. I got pretty lucky there. We showed it on the first shot. And you can see where it's dusting out really, really nicely. Just for fun, just because we have more flour, we're going to try it again. Maybe don't hit it as hard. If you look at the original shot I had done right here, there's a lot of it just flaking down to the floor, and it really adds to the overall picture. This picture, too, I have on display at a local restaurant and at the high school where this girl went to high school. And there, too, is a motivational speech on it. I can't remember what we put. It's like focus or preparation or something like that. And then I had her come up with a saying, and we put it in there, just like those success motivational posters. All right, looking good. Hold on, Christina. Wait for it. Wait for it. And when I say, all right, 3, 2, 1, go. Good. That second one is totally out of focus. So let's go with the first one, which should be okay. Did the first one work out? We bypassed it, eh? Yeah, okay. Cool. It's all good. We got 2 to choose from, that much I know. Sorry, you got a nice mess in your hands there? Cool. So that's the powder shot of the gymnast, and that's how I photographed it. Later on, when Kerry's done his section, we are going to go into Photoshop. I'm going to show you how I really brought that flower out, or chalk, and really I'm going to bring the tones of the image out, intensify it, make it look a lot more dramatic. So I'm going to mimic the second pose here, the twilight lighting, as I call it, and we're going to need to turn on this main light. So remember, our kicker lights, we have a small softbox, we have a small strip box. Really, you can get away with 2 strip boxes, 2 soft boxes, even a large softbox if that's what you're stuck with, or a small one. It doesn't really matter. We just need some light, nice soft light coming from the side to really bring out the tones. The whole key to a lot of this is the angle of the main lights, because they're really bringing out the tones because of the angle. The angle is very, very strong. And typically when you look at award-winning shots, you often see that kind of lighting. It's shadow side to the camera is one way that I like to express it. Anytime you have the main light coming from 90 degrees or more, you're going to create a lot of intensity. The key is your fill light. If you have not enough fill or too much fill, you can ruin the shot. So if your shadows are really, really black and not working for you, it's going to ruin it. Or if you got too much light pouring into your shadows and they're really washed out, it's still not going to work for you. So in this particular shot, because she's looking right at the camera and it's all about the eyes, we want to get some light coming into her eyes. So we're going to turn this main light on right here. So we don't have a wrist support thing like we do in that picture. So I'm just going to get Christina to hold her wrist like as if she's adjusting it. Cool. And then what we got here? What is she doing here? She's got her head turned away. Yeah, bring your right hand over to your left shoulder. That's it. Good. Cool. There we go. So it's like as if you're adjusting it. And chin down. Lean into me a bit more. Good. Chin down. Okay, we want it to look serious. Let me just see what we got. Hold that. Nice and serious with your eyes very intense. I think that might do it. Let me just check something. And let's look at the screen and verify that we got it working for us. So it's kind of good. It's a little bit hot on the skin on the her arms. So if you let me just bring the screen light over a bit. So I'm just going to try and skip. Let me do one more. I should go back into that pose. Lean in. Good. Chin down. Good. Nice and intense with your eyes. Good, a girl. Nice and intense. A little more squinting with the eyes. Almost there you go. A little bit of intensity. Good. So we've got a little more light coming off her arms now in this shot. A little bit more detail, and I can actually bring that down later. Now in the original shot, we had maybe go on to this one here. I'm just going to show it for a minute. On this shot here, she had some sort of a Spider-Man outfit, so it was very, very dark. This is a competition outfit. So we're kind of getting a little more intensity by virtue of the fact that her outfit very dark. So I just want to point that out. The shot I just did of Christina, she's bare skin, so her arms are going to stand out a little bit more. So we want to make sure that we get the light falling off and not getting too much light onto those arms. So that's it for that. I think Kerry's going to set up, do our next model. Don't forget, after we've done this, we're going to go into the wild and crazy world of Photoshop. And I'm going to show you how simple, really simple it is to really intensify a lot of these images and bring out a lot of the detail.
The Octodome I like for close-in portraits because it's a wide light source that brings some nice wraparound lighting. So I'm going to bring out our next model. The strip light was the same strip light we had before, the same power. I've just moved it into the corner So it's going to come in.
Alana.
Alana, I knew that. Alana, come forward a little bit. So I'm going to pose her to the Octodome, and the strip light's going to give us some beautiful hair, rim lighting, accent lighting. Like I said, my background lights I'm leaving the same as what they were before. I do want to get the posing stool, though. So, Rob, would you do me a favor? Can you grab the posing stool? I'm on it. He's on it. You get to sit for this one.
All right. Make my job easy.
Yes. So I'm going to put it right about there, and I'm going to bring that posing table in, if you would, please, Kyle. Just move that fan off. I'm going to, because of her hair, I got the idea that I wanted to use a fan. But we're going to set the basic shot up first. So come on out right in front. Have a seat, Alana. And I'm going to move the Octodome around in front a little bit. And Alana, I'm going to have you turn, just twist kind of to this light. Very nice. Yeah, we just get this light in the right position. There we go. That's good. Right about there. Let's start with that. And we'll make sure that we turn it on. And just check. Yep, we're all good. Take some light meter readings. That's very bright. Very bright. About F16. So we're going to kill this down. Do it one more time. So I'm about F8.5. Just going to check the rim light. It's exactly the same. So I'm going to start with this and take a test shot. So this is a little tall for you. I'm going to lower this down. I'm sorry. All right. And just a little bit of an angle. Bring your hands together, just down low. Just make a little tent out of your hands like that. That's good. And lean towards me a little bit. Let your head tilt. Beautiful hair. Beautiful hair. Okay. Let me just do a test for the lighting. Now, the background light's a bit much. Kyle, let's start by just turn that light off. Another test. You know, with the Octodome, let's turn the other background light off. We may not need either of them. Yeah, the one on the tall stand. No, not that one. The tall stand. Yep. And just unplug it. We have a lot of light coming from the Octodome, so we just don't need the background lights. Now we're starting to get there. And actually what I'm going to do is trip over all these cords. That would be about the only thing I haven't done yet tonight. So right now we're only using 2 lights. We're using the large 5-foot Octodome. We're using the large strip light in the background. It's the only 2 lights on this set right now. And I'm still feeling like we're too much light on the background. And the only other way I can do this is we're going to move you forward a couple of feet. And then Kyle, if you grab the Octodome and bring it forward a couple of feet. So I'm increasing the distance between our subject and our background in the hope of making the background go a little darker. And we're getting there. I'm going to come in a little closer. Very nice. And without moving your shoulders, let your head drift back a little bit. Just kind of bring your hair back. Well, it's kind of coy when it covers your eye, but yeah, like that. Beautiful. Like to see your eyes. Now you're shrugging the one shoulder up a little too high. Just try and soften that shoulder by bringing the elbow out. And one last little refinement. I want to show you a little toy that I just picked up. Kyle, can you grab the fan? I love wind motion in the studio. I've struggled with fans. I think I bought every fan that's ever been made, And I've stumbled on this one from Stanley. It's not meant for photography. You buy this at Lowe's or Home Depot. But notice the front. It's this small little opening. And it does a beautiful job of funneling the direction of the wind. So this, so far, has been my favorite fan of all time. And with her hair being as fine as it is, it's going to give us a nice... We're going to turn the fan on its lowest setting. And then, Kyle, I need you to come with the fan around this way. So the hair blows kind of back. You've got to aim it at it. Well, see, even at its lowest setting, you see how much wind action we're getting. So we're just going to turn that down. I'm not going to stand in front of my own light. And we just want to get that gentle little motion to the hair. Beautiful. Let your head turn. It's okay that the wind blows. It's all right. Let a couple of, yeah, like that. The shots like this, we just kind of take shots until we get the one that we're looking for. Beautiful. Yeah, Kyle, come, if you can, more from the front. So just come right in beside, as close as you can get to me. As close as you can to the octodome. So the hair blows behind her instead of in front. There we go. Now, I don't want to cover up your eyes too much. Very nice. Now you'll notice I have no fill light on this set at all. There is so much light coming from this very large light source that it's wrapping around and being its own fill. That and the fact that our studio wall is white, so we're getting a certain amount of bounce off the white wall back into the modeling area. Yeah. If you're seeing the lights in the background, those are the video lights. They have nothing to do with the exposure of the set, either for my set or for Rob's set. That's simply to give us... Kyle's scrambling. He's going to move the fan to a better location. He didn't know he was going to work this hard today. We told him this was an easy gig. He scrambled harder than anybody here. There we go. Now you see we got the hair drifting. Now I'm going to bring that back up again, and you're going to lie on it a little bit, all right? So pardon me. Yeah, like that. Maybe just pivot a little bit like so. Now let your hair go out like that. Too much line. Just let your head, yeah, like that. Beautiful. And then Kyle, I don't know if you can come around this side of the octodome. You have enough leash? So, yeah, if you go back to that pose. We're just moving. Kyle's on a short leash with the fan. There he comes. So, yeah, try not to trap your hair. Just let it flow naturally. We're going to try and get a little motion in with the fan. Beautiful. And you're scrunched up like it's cold. I know it's 40 degrees below zero outside, but it's nice and warm in here. Just let your hands go out, yeah, like that. Maybe come up a little bit and want a little bit more wind action. Remember, this fan is on the lowest possible setting. So this is done with just two lights. One large octodome, 5 foot. One Shimera, medium-sized softbox, strip light. And that's it. I had to turn off my background lights. I got the little fan. This fan is so powerful, we could stream her hair like she's in a hurricane. Stanley Tools, get it at Lowe's, get it at Home Depot. You probably won't find it at photo centers. It's not a photo tool, but it's the best thing ever. So, I'm going to also finish up the segment coming from a high camera angle. Yeah, I love that. Now we're getting the wind action I want. Beautiful. All righty. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just wait there for a second. Let's see if Rob is ready. He's in the next segment. He's got his thumbs up. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rob as soon as I find the camera. He's right where he always is. So Rob has set up the shots from earlier. He's going to take you into Photoshop and show you how he finishes them off for the final customer presentation.
Hi everybody, welcome. We're now going to do the workflow on the picture of Chris, the one we did not get to last night during the Photography Schoolhouse DittoCam session due to technical difficulties. Alright, so just let me point out the lighting here. You can see the shadowing effect along the bridge of the nose. You can see the highlights on the sides of the nose. You can see the water. You can see the catch lights in the eyes. You notice that? That's from that main light I had nice and low. So we got this shadowing effect, which is really all working together and in harmony in order to create that dramatic look that we want. Alright, so the first thing I want to do, and again this is optional, I like it, unsharp mask, 20, 60, 0 are the three settings, and that creates a defog. We call it defog. We get criticized from some people who are technically purists who don't like some of the techniques, and that's one of the techniques that don't go very well. But you know, I work in a busy studio, and we pump stuff out every week, portraits, and you know, some of the techniques that we use technically are destructive. But you know, here's the thing: when I'm just cloning, by the way, right now. When I like to compare back to the film days. If we were really technically so pure and perfect, back in the film days, we would have been shooting everything on a 4x5 with you know, Kodachrome 64, and we wouldn't have been using these $300 soft-R filters on these very, very expensive lenses, and using portrait film, which was softer by nature, more pastel. You know, all these things were technically destructive. And you know, we'd get these images and we'd retouch the print and spray them with texture spray. All these things were designed to really create ultimately, which is what all that really matters, is a nice portrait in the end. So I don't get too hung up on whether or not the technique I'm doing is destructive in theory. It's whether or not it looks good. And one of the techniques is the dodge. Dodging the highlights and the colors in the eyes technically is breaking apart the pixels, but you know what? You're never going to notice. I know there are other techniques. I'm aware of them. Duplicate layer and using masks and all that. I just don't do them. I use the good old-fashioned dodge and burn. It reminds me of the good old days of the darkroom. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to clone out now some of the red in the eye. If I zoom in close, all I'm doing is cloning out the red in the eye. See that? A lot of people had that. We used to do this back in the day when we were printing prints. We'd have to go in there, and if there was too much red, we'd have to lighten the eyes. It was always a lot of work. So I'm going to dodge this. I'm going to bring out the eye color a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to dodge the whites. Now you got to be careful. You don't want to dodge the whites too much. It's going to look freaky. Alright, so I just gave it a quick pass. Alright, so I did a quick fix up of the eyes, and I did a quick cleanup of the whites of the eyes. Now let's go to my Topaz. Topaz Adjust, one of my favorite plugins. Pretty much almost the only plugin I really use. Now, I talked about it quick last night. I go to Photopop is one of my favorite settings, or Portrait Drama, or Dramatic, or Small Details, or Mild Details, or Detailed. Those are pretty much the settings that I use the most. You have to, every image seems to be different, so you have to kind of pick and choose. In this case, I'll go with that last one. When I'm not going to go full power, I'm going to go fade, and just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, let's bring it up a little more. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to go to Burn Tool. Now, in the Burn, I'm going to go to Highlights. This is very important because when I do, and at about 20 to 25 on the exposure. Let's bring that brush size down a bit. When you go Highlights, any of the lighter details will get darkened a little bit on the edges. So I'm just burning all around. Then I'm going to go to Midtones. Now, you see, now I can burn in a little more because the highlights I've given it something to bite onto. Notice the detail on the bottom part of this helmet, the chin guard. It's really starting to pop out now. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, just the way it is. If I really wanted to darken it even more, make it more brooding. Let's go to multiply, duplicate layer, top layer, multiply, and now let's erase some of that away. And you can see how brooding it's looking now. You know, that's pretty much the look we want. It's very intense. Okay? And again, notice the lighting, the way the lighting is really working on this image. Now I'm going to show you a really, really simple technique. This is so simple you're going to laugh. Let's go to Adjustment, Saturation. Take the saturation down, and technically you have a half black and white image. Okay, so if you wanted to intensify it, and if you wanted to increase the contrast, go to Image, Adjustment, Curves. I always use curves. You can make it a little more brooding. Now I have an action for curves, and this is basically what I do is I use it's a basic S curve like that. And anytime I need to add more, I just simply fire off that action. So, you know, that's pretty much it. You can do this as well. Go to Adjustments, Selective Color, Blacks. I don't always do this, but if an image warrants it, you know, I can darken it even more. It just darkens the blacks. You can just tweak it a little bit more. So, the thing is, you got to remember is that really the strategies that I'm using, the techniques that I'm using, are all really techniques that are foundational, and they've been around for a long, long time. It reminds me of the good old days of film, and I lost my I lost my menu here. So if you got the two most important things working for you, and that is a good white balance and a good good exposure, you're 99% in. I shoot JPEG 100% in the studio, and we get good results. I mean, when you go to the bank and we make our deposits at the end of the week, you know, that's really all that matters. Are our clients happy? Are we making enough profits? Are we successful in our studio? And really, that's where it all matters the most. So having said that, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to shoot raw JPEG. I'm just telling you what I do, and these are the techniques that I do as far as getting the image prepared, getting the image done. And when I work full of the image in our studio, it's a lot about saving time, and we pretty much do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, using pretty much the same tools with very, very, very little variation. So anyways, if you want to see more on how we market, go to my studio newsletter, not the studio newsletter, sorry, my marketing newsletter at profitablestudio.com. I send out a Monday newsletter every week. There's back issues you can get to. Check that out. So, all right, thanks for your time. Bye for now. Here's the image before. There it is after. Before, right off the camera, after. All right, let's do a workflow on the other model that Carrie had photographed at the Photography Schoolhouse DittoCam. And again, the first step I like to do is sharpen, unsharp mask, 2060. It's a defog. Use it if you want, don't use it if you don't want. It's what I do. And it is not a sharpening. I'm not sharpening the image. I'm just taking the fog away because I will sharpen at the end. Okay, so it's not effectively a sharpening technique. So I'm going to dodge. Now again, I mentioned this before in Chris's workflow. Using the dodge tool technically is destroying the pixels. But so it's a destructive technique. And you know what? That's really getting to me, you know, you're getting into the whole theory of how much is really going to count and how much is really not going to count. So right now I'm going into the red of the eye, and with a very, very small clone, I'm going to clean up her eyes just a little bit. She's got a little bit of redness in there. So I usually get in there. Back in the old days of film, when we used to retouch our prints by hand with pencils and pastels and lacquers and all kinds of smelly lacquer thinners, we used to have to do this by hand. It's so much easier nowadays. So I'm going to do a quick dodge. Be very careful not to dodge the eye whites too much. It just will not look right. So you got to be careful. So I added some catch lights, you can tell on the bottom. Let's dodge that a little more. See the catch lights, and I brighten the eyes, the blue of the eyes, just a little more. Lighten them up a bit. Okay, so we've got a nice lighting effect going on. See what that other strip light that Carrie had? She got a little bit of a beauty mark. I'm going to take that down just a bit. So we've got this nice lighting going on. Very, very simple. It works. And I'm going to go under her eyes here and do a little bit more retouching. I've got it on normal. Opacity is around 23. She's got some hair going in her eyes, but I am not going to worry about that stuff. Okay, before I take too many of her blemishes off, and she doesn't have that many. Now, she has a fine coating of hair, so we've got to be very careful not to over-sharpen or overwork the image as far as adding too much contrast, because the hairs are really going to start to pop out. We want to keep this image to a very soft effect. So I'm fixing up the eyes. The eyes are so important, you know, it's the windows of the soul. So I'm just fixing up her skin, the major blemishes and lines under her eyes. Okay, and I'm going to add a soft focus effect in a minute. For now, let me just burn around a little bit, and we used to do this back in the old days. I'm going to highlight. Back in the old days in the dark room, we used to burn and dodge. So it's a classic technique. Now I'm going to bring that to mid-tone, and I'm going to burn it around a little bit more. So that way, our attention goes and is drawn directly to her face. Okay, 2 softening effects I'm going to do. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, so we've got in the history palette Gaussian blur. Go back 1 state, click on the Gaussian blur history brush. This is old. I mean, this is such an old technique. This is one of the first techniques I did back in 10 years ago when I got into digital. I still use it when I need it. I don't use it all the time. But when I want to go in and almost add a layer of very subtle soft to her skin, or it's almost like adding a layer of makeup, and I want to just soften the wispiness. She's got that very pale kind of facial hair going on. She's a very pretty girl. So I'm just going to soften her skin just a bit more. I'm avoiding the lips and edges. Just going into the pores and that. Okay, it's almost like going on with a bit of makeup. I'm going to use the clone stamp. I'm going to get rid of that right there. Cool. All right. You know, I should mention before I run the final soft focus action, the settings on Carrie's cameras are probably turned up so that the contrast and saturation are really good, because this is these colors and contrasts are right off camera. It's pretty good. Now, I in my camera used to turn those down and just adjust them according to what I needed. So my images coming off the camera used to look very flat and dull, but that was okay. I wanted it that way. And by the way, I only shoot 100% JPEG. So that way I could add the contrast and I could add the saturation. So changing your settings in the camera will affect the final output and the workflow. The most important thing you want to really achieve here is good lighting, good composition, good exposure, and good white balance. But if I did want to go in and adjust the contrast, I like going to curves or Control M or Command M on a Mac, and I do a little bit of a S curve. Now sometimes you can go in and just open up the middle. You notice how that really brightens it up a bit, or darken the shadows, or again back to the S curve. Let's get rid of that little. Okay, the S curve is a very classic pattern, but you can overdo it, so you don't want to do too much. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and plus I'm going to go to open the curves again. I'm just going to open up those midtones just a little bit. Okay, so that's how you can adjust the curves, the contrast, and all that good stuff. Now the action I'm going to run is called the Hajisoft, James Hodgins created that, and he's the co-founder of our website. So I hit, it's 2 steps. Let me show you this here. And there's a lot of different ways to soften, whatever works for you. There we go. We like, in the first step, we like to give it more than soft than you need, because you'll see why in a minute. Okay, and then we're going to adjust the softness a little bit more. There we go. And that's telling you what varying opacity and brush sizes. Click anywhere in the image to bring back original detail. So it's with the history brush, which is already selected. I'm going to crank this up to 100. I'm going to bring my brush size down a bit. And I'm going to erase the eyes. So the eyes are not soft at all. I'm totally eliminating the soft. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the opacity down a little more. Increase my brush size. And I'm going to go in and take away a little bit of soft. Not much though. So I want it soft. It's a girl. We want her to look soft and feminine. She's very beautiful. Now, her lips are kind of white, and I might go in there, or might not. I might go in there and just kind of darken some of those white spots down a little bit. It almost, to me, looks like it's dry. This is where lip gloss comes in really handy, or just a fresh application of lipstick just before the shoot, or you ask them to just lick their lips with their tongue just to get some moistening effect going on. So, alright, so there's one way to do that. So there we go. And of course we can crop it in, but let me show you what we got before and after. There it is before, there it is after. And of course you can go black and white. Let me crop it in. 8 by 10. Oh, I'm going to bring that down just for the sake of speeding things up. I'll bring it down to 100. So 8 by 10, if we crop it in nice and tight like that. Okay, and let me just show you how I go black and white. I know this is really simple. Use saturation. But just take the saturation down. And it looks good. I mean, really. Can't argue with it. And sometimes when I go black and white, it ends up looking a little bit flat. So I have to go in and add a little more contrast just to zap it up a bit. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Thank you.